You know what I'm saying? It was a better way to do it. So I just started looking at, my life. I looked at my purpose. And my grandmother always said that she was great and you're gonna do something great in the world. And it was like, this isn't great. And I felt bad about that. So as I was moving around the prison, I started really like, just looking at, some of the difficulties. I always been a solution-based person. I went to college for engineering before I made the bad decision to switch schools and got into trouble. And I was like, how can I still have value in my life despite my surroundings? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can I do? So I know I went to college and I knew that they wasn't giving us programs in prison that was benefiting the population so that we can grow and learn. And when we get out, we can be productive members of society.
You are listening to Mastering the Inner Game podcast with your host, Jarek Tadler.
Welcome to Jarek Tadla podcast. Today I have Corey Jacobs, my friend, who is a founder of Winnergy lifestyle brand, and also is a senior advisor for Diddy, and does a lot of philanthropy work.
That's right. I'm great to be here. Let's go.
Thank you.
Let's go. We're gonna bring the Winnergy today. Last time that we got together, it was epic. Your story and what you're about and your mission, it aligns with mine and everything that I'm trying to do. So I'm happy to be out here, on your podcast, so which I really do, and share a little bit about my story, and what I'm here to do, and some of the things we can do together.
Okay, walk me through. Let's start with the philanthropy, everything, because that touched me. It touched my story. It touched me so much. So walk me through and.
Yeah, well, if we probably want to share a little about the journey, but with the philanthropy, what I'm doing now, I have an organization that I co-founded called the Buried Alive Project. And Buried Alive, we go at life sentences for nonviolent drug offenders, people who've been given virtual death sentences for nonviolent drug crimes, cannabis, and different things like that, where they're out selling, making billions of dollars, and people are languishing in prisons. That was one thing I was passionate about when I came home, after getting clemency. And then my love for chess kind of led me into being part of an organization called the Gift of Chess, where we distribute chess sets globally throughout the world. I mean, just recently we sent 20,000 chess sets to Ghana. We've sent 25,000 to Kenya, as well as Nigeria. And from these countries, we kind of like send 1,000 here, 1,000 there. We're sending chess sets into like all of the prisons. We're dealing with the elderly. We're dealing with the youth, right? And I feel like chess, even for people that's in prison, it's a great cognitive rehabilitative tool, to help people, to change their thinking. For a long time, for 10 years, I taught a class called Chess for Life. And it was just using chess as an analogy for life. And I was able to reach a lot of people because I would talk about the power of sacrifice. I would talk about developing your pieces, overcoming obstacles, the importance of like exercising patience, and it was very impactful. So I felt like that was one of my callings, right? To take chess, a game that I love, and spread it around the world.
How does it happen? I mean, you were not born with that. It's something must happen. Like, can you walk me through the experience when the first time it's like, hey, by the way, I'm gonna play chess. I'm gonna learn chess. I'm gonna like walk me through your mindset. Walk me through the experience in your head, because it's a life-changing.
So when I was younger, right, I was diagnosed with ADHD, right, and they was saying that Corey's a bad kid, and it was bad because I didn't have my attention span. I would do my work, I would get 90s and 100 on my work, but I couldn't sit still, and I never really knew what that was. I was just always felt like I was being labeled bad, but I just didn't feel like I was bad. And they sent me to a school for, challenged kids, and they tried to put me on medicine. And when I got to that school, it was a lot of other bad kids there. They were sending all the bad kids there, and I got even worse. But one day while I was sitting in detention, I had a teacher, his name was Mr. Brown. He came by the classroom and he was like, Corey, why are you so bad? And I was writing, I will mind my own business 1,000 times. I don't know if they do that anymore though, but and it was a tedious thing. And he was like, well, I teach chess. I have a chess club. If are you interested in learning chess? And if so, I'll let you out detention. And I said, of course. I mean, everybody wants to get out detention. I went to the classroom that was in like the back of the school, and it was just a room full of kids after school that was learning chess and that was playing chess. He sat me next to a young girl. I don't. She might have been like 12 years old, and he said she's gonna teach you, And she beat up on me for like 4 months. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
my
Straight
God.
until one day I finally got the victory. You know what I'm saying? And during that process, all the teachers would come around and they would be like amazed that Corey Jacobs was sitting still. That was like impossible. It was like an
Because you were
experiment.
like moving all over the
Yeah.
place.
So I figured about 8 months or so after I had went to this school, they were sending me back to a regular school, and it was all behind the game of chess, and it taught me patience, and it taught me, discipline, and it helped me to focus, and so I felt like, now that I'm here, I'm in society, which we'll talk about a little bit about the journey. I feel like it's my purpose, or it's my obligation to go out here and share something, a tool that has been so impactful in my life.
Okay. Walk me through the prison sentence and being
Yeah.
pardoned by Obama, because this
Yeah.
is, I mean, this is a huge story.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
touch more about stuff that touched me, and like, like the
Yeah.
whole your whole journey. It's
Yes, yes,
just we
yes,
connect
yes.
so much.
Yeah.
So how did you the journey through the
Yeah.
17 years, and because you told me that the first 5 years you were
Yeah,
not
yeah.
happy. You
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you
yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah, I think, obviously if you get, anyone that would just get a sentence like 16 life sentences, right, over your head and then end up spending 17 years in prison. Once you get those 16 life sentences and you're like, you feel like the time doesn't justify the crime that you committed, it's really like you're in disbelief, like you're in shock. And it's a very scary thing. It's like falling off a building, like literally whatever that feels like in the first 2 seconds that your feet left and you're looking down and there's no rope that's gonna get you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
But
I
this would
just
happen in the court when you heard the
yeah,
sentence, or when
like
the
no, it's like it was the never ending that for some years, like a scary feeling in your stomach that never went away. Just that would happen if you just got scared real quick. That's just a never ending thing. That I lost my life, and I can never get it back, by everybody's accounts.
So how did you,
Yeah.
in
So
your
so it
head,
took me
how the
some years.
conversation?
I had never been to prison before, and it was a new environment. I was in a maximum security prison because I had life around very dangerous people and a lot of violence, and it was like something that I had to navigate. So it took me like 5 years to, get the realization that I have life in prison. You're hoping that it's not life. Like, the new car smell will wore off, and it was like, hold on.
How old were you?
I went in when I was 30 years old. I had 3 kids, I had a family, had a house, I was established, I had changed my life completely. And, to get your family snatched away from you and thrown into a dungeon, that was a crazy culture shock. And it was something that, that I really had to come to grips with. And really like how I came to grips with it in the sentence, it was just like realizing that, I'm greater than what they say I am. That wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? What I did was wrong, but I don't feel like we live in a society that's supposed to just throw away people like they're not worth anything. You know what I'm saying? So with that type of energy, you know what I'm saying? I felt like I'm not gonna allow that to happen. My grandmother raised me. I made some bad decisions. And I feel like, people should be able to be redeemed from those bad decisions and not let there be a black cloud over their head for the rest of their life. And I felt like my kids, they was losing. I felt like, my whole family, it was like, it was a better way to do it. You know what I'm saying? It was a better way to do it. So I just started looking at, my life. I looked at my purpose. And my grandmother always said that she was great and you're gonna do something great in the world. And it was like, this isn't great, and I felt bad about that. So as I was moving around the prison, I started really like, just looking at, some of the difficulties. I always been a solution-based person. I went to college for engineering before I made the bad decision to switch schools and got into trouble. And I was like, how can I still have value in my life despite my surroundings? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can I do? So I know I went to college, and I knew that they wasn't giving us programs in prison that was benefiting the population so that we can grow and learn. And when we get out, we can be productive members of society.
But how did you come up with that? You knew you're not coming out. Like why?
I
Where's the
felt
mindset?
like,
Where does this came from? Did you read something?
no, well, I was reading hundreds of books. I probably read 2,000 books when I was in there. I would go through every different eras of books and philosophy and cultures and trying to find the answer. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to find the answer on why. And at the end of the day, I think when I realized that I had something to offer despite, my circumstances, is when it kind of clicked to me. But when it fully clicked, I mean, if I just tell you
But when it clicked to you, the successes started. Like when it
yeah, yeah,
clicked
yeah.
to you.
No, when I
But-
this is
but-
when it started. It started. This is how it started. It started when I started playing chess, and I was playing chess to pass the time. But I also started learning a great deal about myself while I was playing. Right, I was very dynamic. It would be 20, 30 people surrounding the chessboard while I was playing. And then I started teaching chess. We can just get right to it, right? I started teaching chess on the weekends for people who wanted to learn. I started teaching chess in relation to life. I brought it to the classroom or to the prison. I took that, and then I came with an idea called Square Up, right? It was called the Square Up program. Square up now from criminality to legality, your best and only option. And it was born out of people complaining that we wasn't getting the necessary education in the prisons. So I'm not the type of person that likes to complain. I like to get straight to the solution, right? Straight to the solution was to create our own. You know what I'm saying? So I had Square Up now. It's time to help ourselves. It's where change happens. And I developed 25 classes around self-development. And then I went and got individuals that was in the prison that was great at something. One of my buddies, he was a Navy SEAL, right? He used to work out every day. He knew nutrition. I said, yo, teach the workout program. Another incredible singer. I said, yo, you teach music appreciation. Another young man, he went to NYU, then started going to Wall Street and ended up committing a crime, doing something he shouldn't have did. He ended up in prison. I said, yo, you need to teach the Wall Street class.
But
about
how?
money.
Where did you get? Like, where did you find this? I want to go deep in like,
Yeah,
into
where did
your
I
soul.
find
Like,
it?
like it's
No, I just-
because you had failure after failure, and then
yeah.
suddenly you use this as a fuel. You
Yeah.
use the pain completely to get out and use as a fuel.
Yeah, yeah.
And you like.
Because what I had got a chance to see, right, while I was in there, the first 5 years or 6 years or so, that people was, by the thousands losing hope in there, right? It was very hopeless around there.
You start losing people, like
Yeah,
and
just losing
it
hope.
was
I
like,
mean,
did you lose somebody?
Yes, I lose. Yes,
in-
I lost while I was in prison. I lost my grandmother. I lost my father. I lost my grandfather.
So
All
what
these
was
people-
this? Was the
and-
pain that you were not able
Yeah,
to
no,
go to funeral? This.
Yeah, I couldn't get to the. Yeah, I couldn't go to the funeral, and my grandfather. I couldn't see my children. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't face them because I just felt like that I let everybody down. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was like being a fighter, understanding I had greater things to do in the world. I was determined to like say so laser focused on my freedom because for one, right, I felt like if I ended up dying in prison and I didn't give every single thing that I had for freedom, then I don't think I could live with myself.
Because if people look at you right now, you're so successful and like everything
Yes.
you touch, it turns to gold.
Right.
It's like I'm getting goosebumps. Like if you
Yeah.
tell this story, they're like bullshit. This is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like you said though.
How
right?
much pain.
You know what it's like? You know what it's like? It's like you said. It's like when you work out or your physique or things of that nature. It comes from putting the work in. It's having a mentality. Understand you're not gonna get nothing unless you put in the work. So I knew that no one was coming to save me. That I would never ever be free again unless I dig deep down inside to the recesses of my center of my being and find the strength to fight for something I felt was wrong.
How did you
right?
do it going
And I
back
did
inside?
it. Yeah, I went inside because when you're sitting in a cell and you can't go nowhere, right? And you can't, and you're locked in from 9 o'clock till the next day, mostly. And then, and you have 30-foot walls and you can't see society, you got no choice but to go within, right? When you're sitting in that cell and you can touch one side of the wall and that other one literally like this, and then there's another grown man in the cell with you going to the bathroom, and you're laying on that hard bunk bed with a thin mattress that's killing your back, and you're reading books under lights that's killing your eyesight to where point I need glasses. You know what I'm saying? You have to make a decision what you're gonna do. You're gonna say, are you gonna lay down and die, or are you gonna come out? And I had to have that journey within, right? And fight for my freedom, fight for my sanity, and I came out the other side, and I beat those demons, right? And when I finally
How did you beat him? Like you knew, you didn't know. I mean, you got 16 lives. Like how did you beat him? Like
yeah.
how did you start listening to
I
the
was seeing it.
positive that because you
Yeah.
so positive, it's like it's
Yeah. This is what I
unbelievable.
look at. This is what I look at. I look at, I felt like that I was gonna be free. You know what I'm saying? I didn't accept forever, right? So with that being the case, not accepting forever, I had to look at that it also wasn't gonna happen tomorrow. Right? I knew it wasn't gonna happen tomorrow. I got 16 life sentences. It was if I didn't beat them in trial or get out of it, then it's gonna be a marathon, not a sprint. So I had to have that in my mind, and it was with coming across certain people who have been doing time that would tell me, like, "Yo, listen, don't think because you have action on your appeals that you're gonna just win that right off the top. You have to pace yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to pace yourself. You got to understand that this is gonna be a hard fight. So you just can't go out. You know how somebody goes in a boxing ring and they start to, Hail Marys in the first 2 rounds, and then like the fifth round, they ain't got nothing left, and then they
Be
just get
honest.
knocked
How
out.
many times did you try to give up?
You know?
Be honest.
No, there was moments.
So you were at this time. It was like fuck
Yeah,
that
I mean,
shit.
one
I'm
time
done.
I went to the hole and I was locked down for 3 years, and I felt like I missed my opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Something happened in the prison, where I ended up, getting locked down for 3 years in the hole, right in the middle of like the Obama presidency, when I had set a goal, in 2008 to get my freedom back in 2016. I said in 2008, in 2016,
Wow.
I'm getting clemency from Obama. I
Wow.
I put that in
So
the
you
universe.
knew you
Yeah,
believe it and you
I believed it. First of all, my number was 16, right? Because I had 16 life sentences. You know what I'm saying? So I always felt like my goal from when I got in prison, I said, I have to beat this 16. Because 16, I didn't know nobody. I mean, you had eating people not getting 16 life sentences, doing inhumane acts across borders, going to jail 5 times for the same thing, and they're not even giving them life in prison. I'm like, out of the billions of people in the world, how did I get life? Me. You know what I'm saying? I have on my heart, I want to do great things in the world. So from the understanding, as I started understanding like more like metaphysics and how the universe works, and really connecting with like the source and God, and bringing God into my life, I felt like I felt more empowered. You know what I'm saying? I felt more empowered that, if I just continue being me and impacting people where I'm around while I'm fighting for my freedom, that God would bless me because he knows my heart. And that was just, and just that knowing, and that knowing was just like the cold crack to me to keep going. The cold crack and I really feel like it's really, really just, no, let me just get back to this. One of the other things was this, right? What I had noticed, when I came in, that, people made mistakes, they made bad decisions, they have a lot of regrets, right? And these regrets, or whatever they want, or whatever they're trying to control that's not out of their control, it aged people very fast. I mean, it tremendously, right? You'll see somebody come
it
in.
didn't age you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
No,
that.
you
I
it
appreciate
did not age you.
No, I appreciate that.
Just so you know.
So I knew that. I started seeing individuals get gray hair within a year because they might have lost their girl and they just are pulling their hair out, hair turning gray over like stuff that they couldn't control. So for me, it was like, why should I wear a frown? Because if I wear a frown for the next 10 years or 15 years that it take me to get out, what is my face gonna look like in 15 years? You know what I'm saying? What is my aura gonna be? Because when I get out, I don't wanna be somebody that has prison on their aura.
So even though you have 16 life sentences,
Yes.
you never believed in that. You
No,
always knew
no.
you're gonna be out. Doesn't matter. It's like
No,
I mean, you
no,
didn't
no.
have one. You got 16.
Yeah, I knew that I had something. I knew that if and when I get back to society, from what I've learned making those bad decisions and my experiences, hustling in the game, going to college, father being from Africa, immigrating, the love my grandmother gave me, what I learned from the prison experience, I felt like if I take that into society, I can have impact in the world from my story. I
You
felt
are.
like that. I felt like that. So I said that the I can, if I get out and when I get out, I can change this around. It doesn't matter if I do 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. If I get out, I stay working out, I keep my mind right, I keep my spirit fresh, I keep my heart and forgiving heart. I can get out with some life left, and I can get out, not only that, and survive, but I can get out and thrive.
Can
And I
you
can make my kids proud, and then my grandmother who passed away, and make her proud. That was
can,
my goal.
can you walk me through your routines to keep you sane
Yeah.
and get you focused? Because
Yeah.
you were
You gotta be
clear.
locked
You were
in.
just clear and locked in on your goal. It's happening.
I
It's
called
like,
it. Listen,
like
I was coming up with terms. I feel phrases and stuff are very powerful, like Winnergy, right? I came up with a term called the goal conscious mind. I'm just making up stuff in there. And the goal conscious mind, I made that one of the classes of squaring up because if you're conscious, if you're moving around with a goal conscious mind, that means anything that goes against your goal, right, is an enemy to the goal, right? So if I'm, going to the microwave and a guy wants to skip or a guy wants to, he doesn't see and he thinks he's first, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? If I know that situation is gonna lead me into getting into an altercation, you know what I'm saying, which can prevent me from my goal, which is freedom, it's all an enemy to freedom. Anything that was an enemy to freedom, you know what I'm saying, whether it was not spending enough time in the library or whether it's not getting involved in with people who wasn't gonna lift me up or wasn't working towards the same goal, I try to stay away from it. And it took some years to get to that.
when you were about to give up, like every time, were you thinking about your father, your grandma? What would you tell him about Corey? Like, what would you tell
Yeah, I
him?
was thinking about what legacy, leaving. You know what I'm saying? What legacy? I had so much promise, and I always feel like it's nothing worse than squandered potential. You know what I'm saying? Squander your potential. That's a tough pill to swallow. You know what I'm saying? And then it was really a lot of it. Now that I'm thinking about it. Obviously, I don't go this deep and talk like this. A lot of people. I haven't even done a lot of podcasts, and I get asked every day, right? Because when I do a podcast or I'm doing something like this, I have to go back down in that place that I kind of left behind. You know what I'm saying? But I'll tell you, my grandmother, and one of my scenes is called "We Did It, Grandma." Right? When you see me, I got a logo with my hands in the air. That's like "We Did It, Grandma." And it's like before she passed away, she told me, she said God always answers, her prayers, and she doesn't know why God didn't, but she doesn't have much longer to live, and she wanted to just tell me to keep fighting. You know what I'm saying? And never, you know what I'm saying? Now get out of there. You know what I'm saying? She was like, get out of there. And then 2 weeks later, she passed away. You know what I'm saying? And I was just determined from that moment. I had like 3 years to go, and I just went so hard for my freedom. I took 100 classes. I took every residential program I could take. I was good to people, and I was blessed, with an attorney, who ended up taking my case, and 32 years old, resigning from her job, and I got the blessing, and came to see me and said, look, I'm resigning from my job, and I'm gonna get you out if it's the last thing I do. And she did that. And she went all over the country with Free Corey Jacobs until ultimately 10 months after she said those words, I was free.
How did you get the news? Walk
I
me
got
your
the news.
mind.
Yeah, I got the news because
Yo,
I got the
yo.
news. I got the news. You know, a lot of people was rooting for me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people knew that I had made that goal to get clemency, and it was 35,000 petitions in front. Before I even put my petition in, there was 35,000 petitions at the pardon attorney's office. And Brittany believed in me. She believed in me. She said, I don't care if there was 100,000 petitions in front of you. You shouldn't die in prison. I don't care if you was drinking, if you was an alcoholic, doing crack. I wouldn't even be mad at you because I don't even know how you was handling that. She said, but I resigned from my job. I'm gonna sacrifice that, and and I'm gonna be here for the long haul. You're gonna be free if it's the last thing I do, and damn if that shit didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I got the call. I got the call. We had
Did
to
you
work into
believe
my
it?
case.
Did you believe it?
Hell yeah, I
Tell
believe
me
it.
your
I knew.
emotions. Tell me your emotions.
Yeah, I
Like
believed
what
it.
hit your head when you heard it?
When she said that I knew that all that I needed was somebody that believed in me, and not only me that believed in freedom. She believed, that it was wrong, and I never met an attorney that looked me in the eyes and was like, for nothing. It wasn't about no money. She wouldn't even let me pay her. It was about freedom. It was about looking in my eyes and seeing a brother, a family member that could be down in prison, and empathizing with that. And she knowing she had the skill to do it, right? And she wasn't even a criminal attorney; she was a corporate attorney. So what I'm saying is that my how I felt. I said if I stay true to myself, I really felt like this. I said if I stay true to myself throughout this entire journey, if I be faithful, if I believe in myself, you know what I'm saying, and that wholeheartedly, even in the hard times, even when I think it should have came when it didn't, I'm gonna stick with that plan right there. And if I can't get free, staying true to myself and being, having sincere intentions about what I'm gonna do when I get out here, then it is what it is. That's just the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? I locked into that, and I'm more cemented in my spirituality than I ever been, because you know why? I seen it. I seen, the path that I took manifest into right now. You know what I'm saying? So now all I want to do is, even when it comes to the branding, or comes to what I'm doing now, even with Winnergy, Winnergy is, comes out of a dark place of self-discovery.
You know you're very humble, man. Right now, I don't want you to be humble.
Yeah.
Just tell us the successes after you left, when
Yeah.
you got out, you
Yeah.
out, you free man.
Well,
I'm getting goosebumps.
yeah, yeah, no,
You
yeah.
free man. Don't be humble.
No, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you.
Just.
No, I'm gonna tell you.
Because
I'm gonna tell
a lot of people listen to the podcast and they think the life is over because
Yeah.
their wife left them, or
Yeah.
or they lost a job, or the business. They never went through the true pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you did, and for years. Just don't be humble.
No, I could give it to you. No, I'll give it to you.
Tell us straight,
Yeah.
like it's
Like it is. I'm gonna give it to you. Yeah. I got the clemency. I got the call. That I was getting my life back in the prison, which is amazing. I had told Brittany, during when she finally took my case. She took my case, and I said, as we was going at it, I filed my petition that we going. I started to feel confident about what was gonna happen. I started seeing freedom. You know what I'm saying? I started seeing freedom. So I
it's
said,
funny
listen,
you talk about Britney. Your energy changed, your whole body changed. Like
yeah. No. Because look, I said, listen, check this out. I said, we're gonna be riding down Sunset Boulevard in a Maybach, playing Shirley Caesar, Next in Line for a Miracle. That was a song I used to listen to, on a daily basis. Shirley Caesar, Next in Line on a Miracle. And today is your day. Today is your day. You're next in line for a miracle. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I got out, I got released to a halfway house where I had to take 6 months and 6 months of home confinement. So I said, my first day I had a party, right? Puff was throwing me a party. And I'm leaving the halfway house. He sent 2 Maybachs to come get me, right? So she's there, we're together. A silver one and a black one pull up with drivers, and they was like, which car would you like? Puff asking, what car would you like? And she said, I said black at the same time. She was like, always bet on black, because that's what she would say. She's a female black attorney. You know what I'm saying? So we jumped into black Maybach. Just so happens that the halfway house I was on Western and Sunset. It was the Hollywood halfway house. And so we make the right turn on Western and Sunset. We're going down. We're headed to this party that they setting up for me that Puff, is putting together, that I hear and that's going on. I'm excited. We're riding down Sunset. And as we're getting down Sunset, I passed Tattoo Mania, which was where I got my first tattoo right here at Tattoo Mania. So we passed Tattoo Mania, I see Tattoo Mania, and I'm like, oh, snap. It's we're on Sunset. And we're in the Maybach. Oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, we're in the Maybach. And I was like, I told my man, the driver, Fahim, shout out to Fahim, my man, he's head of security now. Me and him work closely together. I said, can you play Next in Line for a Miracle? And before that, why I said Sunset in the Maybach, not because I just like, that was the last street I was on, like Sunset Boulevard.
Yep.
Name a street, it's California, Sunset, right? I know everybody got Maybachs, you know what I'm saying? And so I just said, we're gonna be riding down Sunset in the Maybach. I was freestyling, right? So now we're riding down, he puts on the song, ding, 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 ding. It starts coming on, the music. And, as we start to driving, down, the music's playing and she's starting to talk, and starting to sing and, and go into the song. And it's a long song and she's preaching and she's giving the word. And as we get down to Sunset, we make a left on Mapleton, we make a left, on the streets. And we pulled up to the house. It was like it couldn't have happened better. The gates opened like it was the gates of heaven. I'm pulling up in that Maybach like it's the gates of heaven. It's candles. He has little candles all up and down the street going from here all the way up the cobblestone driveway. And it's at nighttime. And then here I see my son there, DJ Khaled's there. My man's there waiting like this with his hands open like, what's up, baby? You back? I gave him a hug. I came out. I seen Khaled. I always would see Khaled on TV. And and I always liked Khaled because he was an inspiration to me too, right? He was very positive, individual. He always was saying, we the best, you know what I'm saying? And he brought people together and he was confident in himself, And so I would work out to some of the music, we the best music, and it get me going. And to see him there, not ever knowing that was gonna happen. And as soon as I seen him, I was like, I got it on video too. I was like, they don't want us to win, they don't want us to win. You feel me, And that's all. And then I gave him 5. I said a bunch of other stuff, and I gave him 5 and a hug, and I turned around. I gave everybody a pound, and just the energy of freedom. I felt it. I felt empowered. I felt unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? I felt unstoppable. I felt like I made it through there. I can make it through anything. You understand what I'm saying? And that's when everything commenced. I got to the house. I put on my first outfit. I had my first dinner, my favorite foods. I got a chance to chill with my son. My lawyer was there. Everybody was there. When they showed me had, welcome home Corey and big balloons on the lawn. And it was just like, I had people massaging me, massaging my head, giving me my first massage and my first bath and my first night's sleep in a real bed. And it was just like, I felt like this. If I knocked on that door, I would say persistence beats resistance. If I just keep knocking on the door of freedom, I just keep knocking, one day it's gonna open. But if I don't knock at all, I can't expect to knock it down. You know what I'm saying? And I would always say this too, like, people was like, damn, man, you don't got no light at the end of the tunnel, man. You know what I'm saying? And I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't have no light. I said, not only do I have no light, I don't even have a tunnel to look down for hope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my goal was like, what do I do when you don't have a tunnel? You build one. You know what I'm saying? You have to build a tunnel. I know I had to show through my fight for freedom who Corey Jacobs is now.
Who right? Corey Jacobs is?
Right. Corey Jacobs now is a person who loves life, who loves people, who loves to see people win, who wants to make a difference, who wants to turn his bad decisions, that he made into great accomplishments, and someone who wants to make his kids proud, someone who wants to make his grandmother proud for sacrificing her life and raising me and giving me all the tools that I needed that I didn't listen always to her. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this is like, a victory, right? A victory. A lot of times situations like this, the impact I've had on the culture, the history, some of the stuff I've done, what I've been able to do in prison. When you tell this story, I'm gonna be in prison, I'm gonna be dead. You're not gonna tell this story with your hands in the air. It just rarely happens like that. And so I know the opportunity, right, that this story has, and I feel like it's my responsibility to share with people, that journey and how I was able to make that mental shift, right? And bring that same mentality, of me, obviously I went into meditation. I started doing all of that as well. I didn't mention that, but, somewhere around 10 years, maybe 2009, maybe like 10 years into my sentence, or maybe 8 years into my sentence, I started meditating, because there was so much violence around
You
me.
can give it like my podcast is emotional fitness, emotional intelligence. So any tools.
Yeah, I needed it too.
I mean, you tell the audience, tell any
The
tools that
tool.
you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
using
yeah. I got into
because
the
you were
habit.
completely broke down, and with this attitude, being positive and believe
Yeah.
the belief is everything.
Yeah,
But
100%.
you need tools
Yeah,
like
you need tools, right? Tools is like getting in the regimen. I really didn't want to get institutionalized, so I always do different stuff. I would go outside and do stuff like this isn't what y'all can do, but I'm just saying I would go outside and just play ball with my left hand, or shoot 1,000 jump shots with my left hand, or I would read different books. I would try to read books that would uplift me, but I also would read books of people overcoming great obstacles, like The Man's Search for Meaning, The Long Walk, and things like that, where people had it even harder than me. So, I would say to myself, like, it would help me, inspire me, and be like, you know what? I'm having hard, but I do have a chance to get out, right? And I do have my arms and my legs, and my stomach isn't, I'm not starving, right? So I have an opportunity, and I didn't do anything that I can never take back, right? So from that part, from living life from abundance, after studying these various disciplines that talk about abundance, that talk about, material things that separate you from yourself, right? When I started to realize that these are things that I was doing, I was separating myself from myself with things, right? With things that I thought made me who I am, with things that I did thinking that made
wow,
me who I was.
that's
When it
deep.
was like I got stripped down to the everything that meant anything to me that I valued, and now I had to like really, it's about your character. It's about you as a human being. I'm wearing the same clothes for 17 years, either brown or gray. There is no multicolored jackets, no peacocking and none of that, right? So now you're focusing more on self. Where out here, you have the set. Now you have the Instagram, you have this, you have a bunch of distractions that's distracting you from yourself. You have these material things that's separating you from yourself, right? Making people think that is something when it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? That is really nothing. It's nothing if you're not seeing yourself clear. It
I
doesn't
feel
mean
you. I told you,
yeah.
you changed my life. I
Yeah,
realized
yeah.
when I tell the story everybody that when I met you, when you told me your story, and I just realized like you were free in the small cell. You were free, and I realized I was outside. I was free, yet I was in jail, emotional jail. I was closed up in my mind. I was like literally living in jail. And that's the materialistic things they want outside, and
Right.
everything we have is within us.
Yeah.
And you found out the cure, you found out the medicine, and find out the tools,
Yeah.
and this is like,
And I used to do
and really, it just feels like you look at it. Just
Yeah.
it's feel like it's the
Yeah.
feelings you have the energy above you.
Yes. And another things I used to do, I would, obviously we would read, and I would read books that I can like learn from, right? So I feel like I wasn't getting sucked all of my, who I was from my sentence. I was determined to get more out of my sentence than the sentence got out of me. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? You know what I'm saying? Like when I get out, I want to be like, I killed it. I murdered it. You know what I'm saying? I got out and I took everything you can get, as much as you can get out of there, and much value that you can squeeze out of such an environment, and put it and to add it to myself, right? In a way that can better me and others, right? So that was, one of the goals. So like I said, I got into meditation out of just sheer necessity to want to clear my mind, because I had read a book and I can't remember one of the books that I started reading, but it was just a book on meditation. And I used to read books on poems, on just deep philosophical concepts to try to like take my mind out of like what I was seeing every day, right? And so every Sunday on NPR News, they would have this show called Hearts of Space. And we had radio, so you didn't have control over like what you can listen to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Until they end up getting something like similar to iTunes years later. And you would like be so happy to catch these little programs. So at 12 midnight every Sunday, they would play about 2 hours of just music from all over the world, meditation music, music from different cultures. It could be in a different language. I still would listen to it. So after I read the meditation book, I started saying, you know what? Every week, what I'm gonna do is on Sunday for 2 hours, I'm gonna meditate if I don't do nothing else. And I'm gonna relax my mind and release all of the pressures from the week. I'm gonna release all of my worries, all of my fears, and release it out of my body and let it go and start new. And I would do that until I fall asleep. And I may wake up 3 in the morning or something, and or I might wake up the next day like with my headphones on, and then I get up 5:30 on that Monday. I'll work out. I have my routine. Then I go to the library. You know what I'm saying? I would try to eat the best way I can, considering the circumstances, and I would just try to keep myself physically fit and mentally fit. For the day when they open those doors, right? Because I remember so many people didn't have their minds right walking out those doors. And now we're freeing people now. We're at 60 lifers out of prison. And a lot of times, man, a lot of people become a shadow of their old self. I said, I can't get out being a shadow of my own self and be great. People gonna just be feeling sorry for me if that. I gotta come out and be unstoppable. I gotta come out and be unstoppable. I gotta come out and show, not just show it. When you see me or when get in my presence, you're not gonna feel like a hardened 20-year sentence that I did. You understand what I'm saying? Like I didn't
Oh,
want
I
that.
do. Believe me.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. It was very, very important to me. I felt like being put behind the eight ball by losing 17 years, and where everybody can make money, they can be successful, they can grow their companies, and I couldn't accomplish what my dreams in there. You know what I'm saying? So it was concerning to me that how do I come out at that age and get back going with things that I want to do? You know what I'm saying? It was very concerning, but I felt like the only way I can is if I'm able to add value. And how will I be able to add value when everybody has money and everybody's positioned in the right way? You know what I'm saying? In a way that I feel like I've earned, And it was building myself up, being prepared for the opportunity, every opportunity that I can take advantage of. I'm not going to get that opportunity unless I'm ready, right? So if I want to do something or I want something, I have to have a game plan. I have to have a vision. I have to be able to communicate my vision. I have to be, sincere, so that people can see that in me, and maybe I will get a blessing. You see what I'm saying? That's how you have to get over the hump, over the stigma, over the misconceptions of what being gone that long comes with. You know what I'm saying? So I thought about that, and so while I was in there, I was building up myself. I was reading things that was adding. If I read a novel, it was going to be a novel that I can learn from and garner something from. It's rarely that I read a novel just like something, a bunch of random stuff. You know what I mean? It would be a novel that was teaching me something that I can add on to my skill set, and bring out here and use, use in this second half of my life. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like anybody, anybody who's trying to be successful, my number one thing, I would say like Winnergy, right? The soul of Winnergy is authenticity. That's the at the very heart of it. It's about being your authentic self. Being your authentic self. Is very important because that's how you find your purpose. You find out you're not wearing a mask. You're getting up every day telling people one thing and there's something else going on. You're getting up every single day being you. Because you can just be you and it don't got to be perfect. No, but people will respect it because for me, I know me. I respect people who be themselves. I respect you, even if it's a leaning more towards something that might not be my as integral, but I respect it. You know what I'm saying? If you do that and you standing on it, I can mess with you, even if you on the other side. You understand what I'm saying? But for somebody that's not, I don't really. That's not something that I respect. You know what I'm saying? But that's not something I'm even thinking about. It's just basically what I'm not trying to bring into my world. And for me, I spent 17 years trying to like create a force field of energy around me against negativity and attracting positivity to me. So Winnergy is really that. It's like it's a magnet. You know what I'm saying? It's a magnet. It's a unifier, right? It's individuals when you come in the room and you're a light when you come in the room. You know it. Like yo, they have some energy. It uplifts you, right? That's what helps us be better. It's helping each other win, right? I'm in position. I have different things that I'm doing. And I try to like utilize my position to throw alley oops to other people who may not be in position or necessary resources, and so that's what Winnergy is. Like Winnergy is, partnerships. It's let's win together, right? It's let's win together, and I think that's what we're missing in society. I think that everybody, has their own push, and they think because they have their push, we can't work together, and they got to be no. I wanted to do Winnergy because it's very collaborative. Just think, so now you're not taking away from you by us collaborating. We don't have to deal with that ego part of the whole situation. Winnergy is just fuel that can come add value to whatever it is that I'm involved with. Because when I get into something, I'm always going to give 100%. Well, I don't get into it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about. It's about adding value, understanding that you're a bigger part of the whole in this world, and that your actions, what I did learn in prison too. I learned that my actions actually there's consequences. And that's something I learned from chess. When I used to teach chess, you move a piece, there's a consequence for you moving that piece, right? You moved it, right? Now there's a series of other things, decisions. Every time you move, this is a decision made that's gonna lead you to either being winning or not winning. You know what I'm saying? So when I kind of understood that, I really was like, every move that I make has to be with intention, and has to be with the right intention because I'm being watched. People think they can do things and get away with it. You ain't getting away with nothing because you're being watched. The universe is watching you. God is watching you. You understand what I'm saying? And you're not
intentional
being
life is everything.
You're
It's
not
like
being
everything
slick.
you do. Yes.
You're not being slick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I learned that a long time ago with my grandmother. I remember one time I stole something. Like it was just some grapes or something. Like she got me in the cart. I'm riding with my two legs in there. I'm a little. And we rolled by this whatever section. She turned around and I took some grapes and I put it in my mouth. And I had the bulgy cheeks. And then she was like, Corey, don't ever be a thief because you're not slick. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And that's definitely one thing. I wasn't slick. If I'm doing something, I just wouldn't do certain things because I'm going to get busted. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll make the face or I'll look funny. And she was right. Grandma, no, she knew. She said, don't never be a thief. You're not slick. So, that's what I'm out here to do. That's why I like kind of do some of the philanthropy stuff I'm doing. I represent an artist. His name is Yellow Pain. And he did a big song called "My Vote Don't Count" during the election, which was a incredible run. I mean, I just seen it posted again the other day. It had 450,000 shares on this song, and it was about teaching people about the importance of voting, but not just in presidency, but throughout the election, all the different elections, right? School board attendants, sheriffs, and all these things. There's dozens and dozens of, elected offices that we have to vote for that we're not even paying attention to that affect our lives. And he's an incredible human being, just so smart. And I believe that, I was put here for that reason as well. Like I believe that if we want to see things change, we have to support artists that are making music and doing things differently to bring forth change. We act like we want to change things, but our actions are saying something different. You know what I'm saying? So for me, anything that I learned, whether it was chess, whether it was the ability to fight these laws and understanding the laws, that I can help, play my part, or it's empowering a young artist, right? Or sharing my story. Like right now, I haven't been sharing my story because I've been doing the work. You know what I'm saying? I can't be running around talking and working, right? So I'm not a kind of person. I'm with no fluff zone. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm gonna go out. We're gonna do the work. We're gonna lay the groundwork for whatever's going on. We're gonna have measurable results. Like with the chess, it's 20,000 chess that's going out there. That's hundreds of kids' lives changing. It's 60 people out of prison. It's people voting, young people that would have never voted, and on, right? Now we're in the medical space with Liquid Vita, right? Winnergy and Liquid Vita coming together with preventative medicine. That's gonna be a whole another push around the mindset of your health and the things that I learned, and and how I got to this point. And that I'm not perfect. I was I spent a lot of time never going to the doctor in prison because they didn't have adequate health care. So I built up a habit of just not, figuring it out myself, and that's not cool. So Wednesday, I'm going to get, I've already got blood work. I've already been doing my thing. I'm, definitely eating better. I'm doing my thing. But to really be locked in, Wednesday, I'm going to get the whole play, and I'm going to lock in on my health, and I'm going to go evangelize. You know what I'm saying? Right along with you, brother. You know what I'm saying? For people, you know what I'm saying? Not only your physical health, like we talked about earlier, but Winnergy is a mindset, energy and mindset to win on any circumstance, but it's also mind, body, soul. Mind, body, soul. You have to have the entire thing inside you for you to really be, for you to absorb all of the ills of society and everything that's coming at you. You know what I'm saying?
The best advice you could give it to your son.
My son?
The best one advice you could give it to your son.
Don't never let nobody tell you what you can't do. You know what I'm saying? You can do anything you put your mind to. And I know they say, that may not be true or whatever it is, but you can make bad decisions in your life and you can overcome it. Don't be afraid to take risk. You know what I'm saying? And always be you, because you're gonna feel better if you win as being you or you lose as being somebody else.
It doesn't matter how bad your situation is. There's always the light on the end of the tunnel.
That's right. And if there's not no light, build a tunnel.
Awesome, Corey.
Okay. What's up, baby? We got busy. You turned up. You got a couple
unbelievable.
Yo, you made me tear jerk.
Listen, I've done 3 podcasts and all 3 people were crying. So you're not the only one.
Yo, I love you, brother.
Thank you for listening. Leave your comments and subscribe for more insights on mastering your inner game.